Hello, welcome to another interesting episode. In today's special video, we want to take a very important topic in English language. And the topic before us today is language register. What's language register simply? It's basically the way we communicate. You know, we have different settings and we don't communicate the same way in all of these settings. If you didn't already know, there is a formal settings. There is the informal setting, the way you communicate in an informal setting, and there is still a professional setting, which is a little bit different, or let me say, a sub part of the formal setting. So in this very short, very brief video, we're going to have an interesting in-depth time of language registers. I hope you are ready to enjoy this special class with me. Sit down, be comfortable. I'll be right back. My name is David, and you're welcome to AllCBTs. Welcome back. Now let's begin. What is the meaning of language register? Simple. In simple terms, language register simply means using different type of language for different situations. Like I explained before we went on the break, people do not speak the same way in all situations. For example, the way a person talks to a friend is different from the way the same person talks to a teacher, an employer, or government official. Because the way you talk to your friend will be different, okay? Under the same circumstance, is different from the way you are required to speak to a teacher or a government official. Don't worry, you will get it. You're going to see a lot of examples. Now, look at an example of speaking to a friend and speaking to a lecturer under the same circumstance. Now, you're talking to a friend, you say, hey, what's up? You could say, yo. You say, my nigga. You could say, hi, my guy. You know, and your friend will be angry, like, why did you say, hey, what's up to me? Is that not insulting? No, because that's informal language register. That's informal mode of communication. But then, if you say that to an employer, your employer, or to a lecturer, or to a government official, he or she will feel insulted because you would be wrong. Now, when you have to talk to a lecturer or employer, under the same circumstances, under the same building, even if they are both sitting at opposite sides to you, you would speak to the lecturer in this way. Say, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. How are you today? Right? Because this is a professional way to speak. Right? But the same, at the end of the day, the same message you're trying to pass is, how are you today? Right? But the way you're going to pass it to your friend is different from the way you pass it to a lecturer. So which of them is informal? Of course, you get it right. This is informal. This is casual. Why this is a formal way of communication. Now let's continue. Both sentences communicate greeting, but the style of language is different because the situation is different. Are you still there? Now, definition by linguistics, okay, English professionals. What are the things that determine language register, that determine your use of language, that determines the placement or the way we speak? Now, the first one is the relationship between the speaker. Now, even if the person, okay, for example, a person might be a lecturer, he might be your lecturer, but he is your friend. You will still communicate with that person in a little bit more casual way, even if you are in a formal setting, than you would do to somebody who is not your friend at all and is also a lecturer, right? Because of that formal informal relationship that you have. Okay, it looks like I'm running too fast. Let me take it slow. Number one, the relationship between the speakers. Now, the relationship between people involved in communication affects their choice of language. The relationship between the two people, okay? Now, close friends, as I explained before, when two close friends are communicating, they may even use pidgin. They may even use vernacular languages, right? Because they are close friends. No need for formality. So In fact, the language flows better when they go off the grid, off the formal sector, off the formal category, and begin to speak, in their native
Get the cheapest science materials from allschoollabs.com.
tongue, a native dialect. So you use what? Informal for close friends. But what is when it becomes teacher and student? What do you use? You say sir. You don't say what's up, man. You could give it a slap. Right? You say sir. Okay? You say please sir. Kindly. You use all those polite words, those courtesy words. I'm sorry sir. Yes ma'am. Right? Good. So you use formal language. And then when it's between the employer and the employee, they use professional language, which is a branch of formal language, all right, but it's not part to formal language, professional language. You see, when you send your letter in the office, those of you who are probably watching this video, you use a lot of professional words. Okay, kindly allow me, be guided, kindly be guided, kindly excuse me. You understand now? Consequently, use all those kinds of terms, right, in the official setting. Okay, for example, when you're talking to your friend, you say, pass me the book. Okay, but when you're talking to your teacher, you don't say, pass me the book or pass me the book, sir. No, you say, sir, teacher, please, could you pass me the book? Could you? You understand now? The emphasis is on could you. That means you don't have to, sir. You don't have to. Right, next. Okay? So the first thing is the relationship between the speakers or the people in the action that determine the language that you use. Another thing that determines the language you use in the communication is the situation or the setting. Like I mentioned earlier, let's say for an example, your father is the VC of a university and you are a student in that university. The way you speak to your father at home will be quite different from the way you approach your father when he's at the office or when he's in the public space. Why? Because you are in a different setting. You will not say, hey dad, you don't say dad and jump on him. You would give him that respect like every other student. You would nod your head. You would say come here and you would, you know what I'm saying, right? Good. Alright, so the language or environment of communication also affect the language use. So we have different kind of setting. For example, the setting of your classroom is different from the setting in an office. It's different from the setting in a courtroom. You see, if you've ever been to the courtroom before, say I have been to the courtroom before, and give us a few examples of terms that is used in the courtroom. Hey, wait. If up until this point you are not yet subscribed to the channel, you are wrong, right? Because if you go check in the channel, we already have over 15 topical concepts as this, where I break down English concepts into tiny chunks, tiny bits for you to enjoy, to digest, and to never forget again. So as not to miss the next concept we'll be having, better smash the subscribe button. And to appreciate the quality we put into this video, like the video, and it helps our channel grow, and of course makes you a part of the family. So we also have the hospital setting, we have the market setting, we have the garage setting, right? Do you know we have the garage setting, we have the football setting, we have all kinds of setting, and the languages we use in this setting is different. Next, for example, in the courtroom, you use defendant when you're talking to the person that is being accused. You say, oh, the defendant. The person who is accusing the person. The person accusing the defendant is what? The plaintiff. You don't say, Mr. Don't even use their name. You say the defendant. Okay? You say my client. You say my lord. You say, you understand now? So there are terms that must be used. Right? For example, in the court, you say the defendant. Maybe his name may be Bayo. You say he must be called the defendant. You say the defendant is guilty. But outside the court, just immediately you come out of the courtroom, you say he did it. You see the there now. You say that's the man who did it. But in the courtroom, you don't point to him and say he did it. You say, oh, the defendant is guilty. Do you understand now? Good. Next. Okay, another reason or another setting that determines the language formality or the language register or the way we speak is the topic of discussion. The subject being discussed also determines the register we use. For example, when we are discussing medicine, we use some certain medical register. It's different from when you are discussing law. It's different from when we are discussing science and scientific, reasonings. It's different from when we are discussing religion. You see, they're all different. For example, now, let's see some example there. You have medical register. In the medical register, you don't say, oh, the sick. I'm taking this sick to the ward. You say the patient. Somebody who has come to the hospital or the clinic or the lab to get medical attention is referred to as what? The patient. But outside that, in the law courts, you don't say the patient. You understand now? So the patient is suffering from hypertension. But in the everyday language, this same sentence could be said or could be referred to as the parent has high blood pressure or high BP, as you hear a lot of people say. But in the medical setting, it's called high BP, it's called hypertension. Both of them are wrong, but must be used in their correct setting to be effective. Okay, next. Now another point, another thing that determines the use or the way we speak, our register in speaking, is the purpose of communication. The reason for speaking influences the choice of language. For example, if you are to inform, persuade, entertain, instruct, or request, there are different languages. The words may be the same, but the intonation, the placement of those words will be different. For example now, look at that. You have turn left at the junction. That's an instruction. For example, I'm your dad. Okay, I'm sitting beside you. Okay, and you are driving. I say turn left at that junction. I instruct you. But if you are the one by the right hand side, you are my dad on the right hand side. I'm your child and I'm driving. You don't say, I will not say, the child will not say to the dad, turn left at the right. You say, please sir, turn left at the right. You understand? Or kindly turn at the left. You understand what I'm saying? So turn left at the junction. Instruction. But when you want to make a request, you don't use commanding tone, instructive tone. You go to a kind of a plea tone, a begging tone. You say, please, could you turn left at the junction? Or the please could come after this. Could you turn left at the junction, please? Or please, could you turn left at the junction? Are you still there? Now, examples of language register in different fields. Let me just give you a few examples. I already touched on this, but just to give you a few. Now, I already explained the plaintiff, the defendant. Litigation is like the case. Don't go there and say, I'm fighting this man. No. You say, I've brought a litigation, or I've brought a suit against this man, or against the defendant, against the plaintiff. The plaintiff has brought a suit or a litigation against the defendant. You see that now? Okay, good. Then you have testimony. You see, this same word, testimony, in a church means good things, means we want to share what the Lord God has done for us. But in a court, it's to put somebody in problem. You understand now? It's to nail somebody. It's to nail the coffin on somebody when somebody shares his testimony. See, it's like a witness sharing his testimony. It's to release somebody or put them in soup. But in the church, it means only good thing. Nice. Oh, are you still there? Good. Then verdict came. So the defendant was found guilty by a court. You see the way that sentence play out. This is how we use it in the law court. In everyday language, you could say the man the man did it. The court said the man did it. Simple. And you see, what I just read now in everyday language would be the court said this man did it. I used to do that. Now, next, medical register. So, in the hospital, clinics, and medical centers, we use these words a lot. Diagnosis, meaning I want to carry the test. I want to probe into the reason for this medical situation. Prescription, okay, which is like a license to get something. Hypertension, infection, surgery. Look at an example of the use of this. The doctor prescribed antibiotics for the infection. Now give me the everyday sentence for this. The everyday variation for this. The doctor prescribed antibiotics for the infection. Give me the everyday variation for this. Okay? Next, scientific register. We use this in science and in research. And those
Run quick tests and analysis. Visit analysis.africa.
of you who are parents as lecturers, researchers, those of you who are watching this as a researcher, as a lecturer, you definitely know what I'm talking about. You know, even those of you who are studying sciences in high school and secondary school know all of these things. Use words like hypothesis, experiment, observation, analysis, results, you know, all those kind of things, guesses and that. For example, the experiment confirmed the hypothesis. Okay? The experiment confirmed the hypothesis. So experiment means proof. Test. So the test confirmed the guess. That's what it means. Hypothesis just means guesses, ideas. So we took those guesses, those ideas, we took them to the lab, we run some tests on those ideas. Those tests are called experiments. We got a confirmation that those ideas are correct. That's simply what this means in everyday language. Okay? And then another one, the words we use in the religious setting. We use blessings. You don't use blessing in the law court or in the medical center, but you use blessings. You use salvation. Have you heard of salvation in the court before or in the hospital before? These are words we use in church. When they say worship, you know at the back of your mind somewhere that you want to lift up your hands or go on the floor, right? When they say salvation, somewhere at the back of your mind you are thinking you want to turn yourself over to God, right? Good. So, for example, look at that. May God bless and protect you. You will never hear a judge say this. You will never hear a doctor say this in a formal setting or in a professional setting, except maybe you have a relationship with them and they say this to you, but they won't say it under normal circumstances. Okay? And the last slide. Using the wrong register can lead to embarrassment or misunderstanding. If you use the wrong choice of words or different choice of words, okay, it can lead to embarrassment or misunderstanding. Misunderstanding is when you are trying to communicate something, but the other person is not getting it. You get it? Now, for example, you are speaking to a professor. You say, "Hey, dude, what's up?" I know you will not try it, especially in Nigeria setting. You will not do that. Even in, wherever you are watching from, you won't do this because, especially in Nigeria, this simple greeting, informal greeting, can give you a fly in that particular course. You beg him, he will not, or her, she will not listen. You understand now? So the correct presentation should be "Good afternoon, professor." "Good afternoon, prof," if you want to shorten it. And that also depends on your relationship with that professor. Because some professors, if you shorten it, you'll be in a bigger soup. Right, so and with that, we come to the end of this interesting and amazing class. So I have an assignment for you. You must submit this assignment in the comment section. What's the assignment? Give me an example each of a formal and informal language register for a request. Okay, you are requesting something. So give me an example. Informally, say you are requesting from your brother. and say you are requesting from your local government chairman, give me just a sentence each, right? So with that, we come to the end of this beautiful, interesting class. I've also taken other videos on nouns, tonation, stress, syllables, a lot of them in the channel. So make sure you're subscribed and go in there, begin to watch those to improve your language speaking and your readiness for your next exam. I'll see you in the next class. Bye. Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the video you just watched. To see more content as that, preparing you for your upcoming exam, make sure to smash the subscribe button and turn on notification. Also, remember that you can use the comment section to send us your questions or your inquiries, and we are happy to take them. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.